Integral of h with respect to I, everyone. For those of you that are not STEM-oriented, the equation above equals I times h, or I. In other words, the statement I said earlier becomes I, everyone. So, some of you are probably thinking, what in the pale blue dot is this guy talking about? Like, the word I, everyone makes no sense in English. We've arbitrarily defined hi in the English convention to be a greeting. If we all agree here that if for the duration of this talk will be a greeting synonymous to hi, then the phrase I, everyone makes just as much valid sense as hi, everyone. Language, therefore, is a means of transferring information between one person and another. Right now, I am a high school student. I value trying to get a good GPA and sacrificing my sleep to the overlords we call universities. But kids don't value the same things. Unless their parents also worship the same overlords, kids value more on having fun and exploring the world around them. Value as a whole should not be stagnant. Rather, it should be fluid, changing based on circumstances and experience. Imagine a world where everyone just studied. Wouldn't that be fun? Like, the idea that if value is constant, then functional fixedness occurs. Functional fixedness is the idea that the value of anything can never change. Take, for instance, this candle problem. You're given matches, a box of tacks, and a candle. How do you attach a candle to a vertical wall so that the candle wax doesn't spill? Some of you probably are thinking about tacking the candle to the wall, but there's a problem with this. The candle wax just drips to the table. So there needs to be a better way of keeping the wax contained. For those of you that are trying to solve this problem, what if I told you this instead? You're given a candle, matches, a box, and tacks. And for those of you that are not trying to solve this problem, I hope that you are I hope that you are enjoying the suffering of those that are. An experimenter once asked this candle question to two groups of people. To one group, he showed them a box of tacks, but he showed the other group a tacks next to an empty box. And both groups do find a solution in the end, which is, spoiler alert, this. But as seen in the above data, people in the box of tacks groups take about twice the time to find a solution. And also, the failure rate increases by 28%. So what's the problem here? Why does this minuscule change result in such a massive difference? The problem here is that when you see a box of tacks, you define the box as a container that holds tacks. However, when you see an empty box, you see a container that can potentially hold anything, including candle wax to it. In other words, to solve this problem, you need to overcome functional fixedness and alter the value of the box that we give. So, how do we think outside of the box? First of all, we need to accept that there exist ideas outside of the box that we mentally cage ourselves in. If we continue to approach things with the same conventional perspective, we will be simply reaffirming what we already believe in, fueling our existing confirmation bias. Restricting yourself to the thought that the box only holds tacks will ensure that you will have a hard time with this candle problem. So sometimes simply just changing how you view things can help you find solutions. So let's talk about a scientific example. Physicists back in the 19th century believed that there was nothing else in physics to discover. The state of anything will not change by itself. So if we have full information on a particle, we can tell with absolute certainty where its location and behavior is going to be. So if I had a cup of water, I will have a cup of water until I decide to drink it. However, this all changed when Erwin Schrödinger and Werner Heisenberg thought that at the subatomic level, things are in all possible states. Observing it causes it to be in a state. So our simple act of observing this water molecule will cause them to stay in this cup instead of, say, tunneling to the moon or something. This idea seems crazy at the time, and many physicists disagreed, including Einstein. But through experimentation, this idea is now accepted over the classical mechanics model. This simple groundbreaking idea of what if things in the subatomic level behave differently allowed this major breakthrough to occur, and thus quantum mechanics was born. While thinking outside the box can cause a major shift in society, having a different perspective doesn't magically make it true. When I was small, I thought people can fly because, you know, all those internet cartoons indoctrinating little kids about impossibilities only to make them very sad later. Sorry kids, not everything you see on the internet is true. So I experimented on this belief involving a few trial and errors and a lot of disappointment. This one time, I stood on top of a couch, arms stretched, ready to glide and jump down. You know the rest of what happened. So while it may appear that I have not learned anything from this experience, I actually learned that humans cannot fly and that internet comics are very good at wasting my time. This process of considering other viewpoints actually occurs a lot throughout society. Being able to see how others feel, this process we call empathy, requires one to first consider others' perspectives. Think back to a time when a friend of yours confided hardship to you and how you responded. I'm sure most of you here are relatively nice people. I'm not too sure about that. And you tried to make them feel better. Or maybe you decided to do something else because you value something else over helping them. Maybe you wanted them to solve the problem on their own so that they get to foster their own personal growth. We attach new meaning to people based on circumstances and act on this new meaning. This, reminds me of a time when I confided personal troubles to a friend. Back then, I would keep personal emotional troubles to myself. Like, whenever I saw a friend of mine litter or disrespect someone, I got very angry. But I didn't do anything about it. I rationalized this suppression by thinking it's unacceptable to bother other people about my own feelings. On this one day, when I experienced stress-induced depression and had suffocating stacks of assessments, a friend of mine noticed my crippling sanity and bombarded me with questions like, "Are you okay?" I gave in and told him about what was bothering me. I expected him to laugh at my trivial complaints. Instead, he started listing out ways of how I should view my situation and how everything is going to be better in the end. Needless to say, I was surprised. Despite my phobia, this incident offered me a new perspective that telling people about how you feel is okay and admitting your vulnerabilities is also okay. To this day, I still juggle between these perspectives. Usually when I see someone littering, I tell them to pick it up. But on some days, I relapse into the habit of keeping my emotions to myself and appeasing to my friends. I'm still trying to improve this aspect of mine, and I'm trying to fix this problem. And this stemmed from me gaining a valuable perspective and choosing to act on it, making this point a turning point in my life. So, while we're on the topic of perspective change, let's talk about the universe. This black hole, Cygnus X1, is slowly devouring a blue supergiant. Normally, we associate destruction as terrible, but in this case, destruction generates a very beautiful image that makes me marvel at the wonders of space. In space, galaxies are the most significant object amidst a vast vacuum of nothingness. If we took the entire universe and shrunk it down to the size of this auditorium, the biggest galaxy we know of, IC 1101, is smaller than this thumb. Similarly, if we took our galaxy, the Milky Way, and shrunk that down to the size of our auditorium, our Earth will be smaller than this thumb. So we're not just living on a pale blue dot, but rather we're living on a pale blue dot on a pale dot. Isn't that crazy? In fact, do you suppose if an alien were able to see the entire universe, the alien would be able to find us interesting, or even find us in the first place? In Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, the guide, which is Aliens Encyclopedias, there is exactly 2 words for Earth: mostly harmless. To aliens that can observe the entire universe, we would be a mostly harmless dot. But are we really pale or insignificant like a dot, however? I would like you here all to imagine 2 video games. One has infinite lives, and losing incurs no penalties. The other game, on failing once, wipes your progress entirely. If you were forced to play both games, which one do you think will cause you to try harder and value the life more? Let's assume that your life is a video game played by you. In this game, you only get 1 life, 1 chance. Because even if it may appear that there are many similar lives like yours, with the same rigid baseline of born to school, to work, to retirement, no one's game is an exact duplicate of the game you are playing. Nobody else on this pale blue dot has the exact same genetic code, experiences, and personalities that define who you are. To the whole universe, our lives probably hold an infinitesimally small significance. But in your perspective, your simple existence is unique, and it can mean the world to you. If our lives truly are mere chunks of meaningless time, shouldn't we enjoy every moment of it? Like, imagine if you were forced to live 10 years. Would you rather live enjoying every single moment of your life, or smoldering the years with negativity? After all, from rock bottom, you can only go upwards. So reach for the skies. Live your life the way you find most enjoyable. Live your life so that you can look back and proudly announce that you are not just an insignificant dot on a pale blue dot on a pale dot. So Viewpoints have enabled me to grow as an individual, and I am confident that it will also provide you with a turning point. Feedback from other people can help you understand what you are missing out on, what you need to change, and help make your life enjoyable. So interact with other people more. Try to understand their viewpoints and learn from it. It all begins with going up to people and asking, "Hey, how are you?"